everybody, welcome back to Jersey Yogalicious. My name is Kat and I am a Nesta Sport Yoga Certified Instructor, and we are working on Chapter 5 and the beginning of Chapter 6 on Awakening the Heart. It's kind of a book review on a book I found this past summer, and basically it's talking about the principles of how we should live our lives and so that we can be living to our fullest potential. So we're going over some of the book's insights into this, and also some of the greats that we have learned from. So we're talking about how it relates to us and how we can apply it to our lives. So in the end of chapter 5, I just wanted to briefly go through this part with you, keeping our connections authentic and honest. This is, from the letting go and getting real part of the book. So basically this is about relationship building and about relationships. And the best relationships we have are genuine and real. In real relationships, we don't have to pretend. We aren't afraid of knowing our partners, nor are we afraid to be known. Real relationships are strengthened by authenticity and truth-telling. So we talk about different behaviors and how we should act, and so they go into controlling behaviors. When we're trying to control others, what we're typically doing is watching someone else instead of being mindful of our own actions. Whenever we find ourselves expending our energy trying to change or control somebody else, the antidote is breathing in and out mindfully and letting go of the impulse. So remember I talked about putting yourself in check. If your behavior doesn't feel right, you need to put yourself in check and stop yourself from continuing in that behavior. Hidden agendas. We've also met people who seem to approach the world almost as though they have battle plans. Deep secret agendas, only which they know. To some small degree, we probably all indulge in this kind of behavior, but how much better and less exhausting is it to be honest and forthcoming? Superficial values. How can we be honest with our friends if our basic responses to others are being formed by superficial values? Since we occupy a world in which many try to resolve their problems by going shopping, it's easy to understand why this kind of thinking is so prevalent. Just remember, superficial values cloud our vision. They keep us from seeing the light in our fellow beings. Gossip and tale-telling. Have you ever been hypocritical or two-faced with a friend? Have you ever gossiped about someone until that person entered the room and then you became extremely friendly with them? Exploitation. We all want to be in the I-thou relationships that are open, respectful, and honest. Nobody wants to be seen as an object. Who wants to be manipulated or used for someone else's gain? Dependent clinging. Buddhism makes a distinction between love and clinging, and I think this needs to be repeated. We need to be mindful, no matter how much we may care about specific people, that it's wise to recognize the difference between love and clinging. Compassion and demanding neediness. Buddhism reminds us to cultivate a balance. In this way, our relationships are based on openness, and instead of like sticky paper or Velcro. When love becomes overly laced with clinging, it can go in the wrong direction. We become needy and codependent. Jealousy is an example of love gone wrong. Living in the past. We all carry our own ghosts, and too often we find ourselves relating to the people in our lives as though they're spectators from the past. If we quarreled with our parents, we continue the same pattern with our mates. If we're jealous of our siblings, then we run the risk of dealing with everyone in the same way we would in sibling rivalry. It's almost impossible to have authentic, meaningful, heart-to-heart and soulful relationships until we learn to loosen the hold on our ghosts, and what the hold they have on us. Mindfulness is always the perfect reminder to let go of the tangled, self-defeating behaviors that we keep. The practice of mindfulness helps us to become more present and deal with situations as they occur. It helps us to be attentive and let go of the past. It helps us to see reality, and it helps us to be more authentically true to ourselves. And authentic listening is how they wind up the chapter. Start listening and see what happens. Few among us can truly hear what others are saying. Instead, we only hear what we want to hear. So we have to learn to live with compassion and love by not only our behaviors and putting ourselves in check, but how we listen and what we actually hear. Are we hearing everything? The practice of listening becomes important in your life, and you can really deepen that with meditation and reflection. Self meditation will help you to quiet your mind and to listen to your inner self. And then in your day to day, you can listen to others without being, taken into other directions. There's 5 defects of a vessel. There's a pot which is turned over. So that means like when we're in the wrong direction or unavailable to even the most nourishing substances if someone's trying to put us in the right direction. When we're upside down, sometimes we can't even relate to that. So as a reminder, a pot which is turned over, we have to choose what direction that we will face in. We have to make wholesome choices, and we have to make ourselves open and available to hearing wisdom. A pot which is covered. Have you ever tried to talk to somebody who's wearing earphones? In the same way, how can anything be poured into a vessel? For all intents and purposes, he's shut down. This reminds us to be receptive and open. Don't be distracted when someone's having a conversation with you. Don't sit there texting on your phone. Don't play on your laptop. Don't watch television and ignore them. Engage in that conversation. Engage in the art of artfully listening to that person. A pot that already contains something poisonous. If we were to pour the purest water into a vessel that contained a toxic substance, although the toxin would be diluted, the water would still be corrupted. This reminds us to purify ourselves so that we're ready to receive. A pot which is already filled to the brim. The symbol tells us not to be so full of ourselves and our opinions and our ideas that there's no room for anything else. Let down your opinions. Not everybody wants to hear your opinion. You have a right to your opinion, and you have a right to voice your opinion, but not everybody wants to hear it. So you can let that go. A pot that leaks. We all know the expression in one ear and out the other. It is not enough to hear and be filled with wisdom. We need to learn how to retain the wisdom. Noble silence. Listening takes place not just through our ears, but with all of our senses. Sometimes the best way to prepare ourselves to hear in a new and better way is to be still and silent, just like I said. When we quiet our motor minds and our motor mouths, we find that we are able to hear better and open our hearts. The ancient practice of noble silence helps us to begin the process of hearing in a new way. This is a timeless and wise practice that helps us be more sensitive and perceptive. Noble silence traditionally begins with a vow to keep silent for a specific period of time. It can be an hour, a day, a week, a month, 5 minutes. Turn off all your distractions and stay quiet. Take refuge in the inner calm and peace of the quiet mind. Don't write, don't read, don't surf the net. Keep still. Listen to the sounds around you. What do you hear? What do you see? Open your eyes, open your ears, open your heart. Think of the ancient Christian exercise, be still, listen to the inner voice, and know God. This is how we learn to cultivate higher levels of hearing, perception, and vision. For someone deeply trapped in a prison of thought, how good it can feel to meet a mind that hears, a heart that reassures. It's as if a listening mind is in one itself an invitation to another mind to listen to. How much it can mean when we accept the invitation and hear the world anew. And that's from Ram Dass and Paul Gorman. So that's the end of chapter 5, and that was a pretty powerful and long chapter. We had a lot of good stuff in it. Chapter 6 is about building meaningful relationships. As the Dalai Lama points out, the human bond, the connectedness we share with each other, is a reliable source of strength and comfort. This is true for all of us. Anyone who's fortunate enough to have a friend or a relative who is consistently supportive knows how much we depend on connections such as these. Anyone who has ever been seriously ill and had to go to the hospital remembers what it feels like to have a kind doctor, nurse, or medical technician stand by the side of the gurney. It's not just the medical expertise that's comforting, it's the human presence that makes us feel as if we're not alone. Anyone who's ever relied on a kind stranger to help at roadside with a sudden car trouble knows why some people refer to these Samaritans as angels. We all reach out automatically to connect, a little like infants who reach out to curl their tiny hands around their mother's fingers. It's a connection reflex. Just as we need others, so too they need us. It's not a choice. No man is an island entirely of itself. We are never disconnected from the whole. This knowledge helps us with our spiritual DNA, which is our original software. Our interactions with others are an expression of our inner goodness and nobility of our heart. As we communicate, work, and play with others, we're remembering our commitment to integrate spirit into everything we do and say. That is important in life, not just going through the motions. A good life is not about money, real estate, careers, or the stock market. It's about how well we love and are loved. It's about being with a living heart. Integrating relationships into our spiritual quest. As we work to incorporate our relationships into our spiritual quest, we're reminded that even the most classical teachings are about relationship. When the Buddha, for example, set down his Noble Eightfold Path to Enlightenment, he talked about issues like friendliness and loving kindness, positive intentions, ethics, wise speech, right livelihood, and right action. This has everything to do with relationship. The spiritual path isn't just explicit religious formalities, rites, and rituals. No, it's not either exclusively about mystical experience and meditative epiphanies. Most of all, it's simply about learning how to live an enlightened, loving day to day life. The day to day helps us so that we're not alienated and we're not lonely. It's about connection, it's about contact, it's about touching and being touched. As we go about our lives, we typically encounter and relate to many people, friends, family, and strangers. Whether these relationships are casual or intimate, we are given countless opportunities to apply the deeper values if we believe in them. We can put these opportunities into a spiritual framework by thinking of them as a spiritual practice or exercise to help train us and strengthen our intentions. Relating to others in a more spiritual fashion is very simple, it's very straightforward, and it just comes with connecting and reaching out. So the lesson there is to apply yourself. And we'll take off in the rest of chapter 6 next time. We still have quite a bit of the book to go through, so we will come back to you as soon as possible. And today is the last day of Hanukkah, so for those of you who are celebrating Hanukkah, enjoy the festivities. And we're getting very close to Christmas, right around the corner, which I celebrate both. So a lot going on, and wish everyone just a happy time during the holidays. Be safe, and please join us if you haven't at jerseyyogalicious.wordpress.com. We welcome your comments, and we'd like you to join up on the blog so that you can be one of our followers. We've been here for about 4 years now, and I have a nice group that follows me. So thank you, and have a great Sunday. See y'all later.